We're going to learn how to create the archive pages. Okay. So first thing you need to do is you need to create the archive.php page inside of your theme's root directory. So let's do that. Archive.php. Okay, let's close all of the other files. Okay. Now, this page is responsible for displaying the archive pages like author archive, category archive, custom post type archive, custom taxonomy archive, data archive, tag archive, etc. Okay, so what is this archive? So archives literally means collection of historical items. Without the archive pages, it would be very difficult to find, a very useful post that may be lost in thousands of blocks that you might have in your site. Okay, so with archive, it is very easy for you to search that particular post. For example, you can search the post with the date. You can search the post with the time, months, etc. You can search the post with categories, tags, and things like that. Okay, so archives in WordPress context are the list of items retrieved based upon certain criteria, and the archive itself is the page that lists those items. So on the archive page, we're going to go ahead and list certain posts or certain items from the post, like just the title or the content, or certain things from the post based on those criteria. So for example, you want to list the post with the month or the dates or the year and things like that. Okay, so for example, a set of blog posts belonging to a certain categories with certain filter criteria. So for example, if we had the post related to games or maybe food, okay, so those all the posts related to which are under the food category will be displayed using that condition. Okay, so if you go onto the WP hierarchy, you can see that this is the basically the all the archive pages. Whenever there's an archive page, the WordPress is going to check which archive page. Is that an author archive? Is that category? Is that custom post type archive? Is that custom taxonomy archive, data archive, tag archive? So depending on which one it is, for example, if this was author archive, then it's going to check if there was a file present with the name of author-nicename.php, which means the author name, author id.php, author.php, and then even if it doesn't find author.php, again it'll check for the archive.php. So you can see the default for all of the files is archive.php, and if you don't have the archive.php in your theme, then it would by default use index.php to display the contents of that archive. Okay, I'm going to show you one of the you know um, WordPress pages archive. So I'm just going to show that to you. First, I'm going to just write. Let's say I'm going to write archive page. Okay, let's just close this tag for a moment. Archive page, and I want to show you that whenever you go on an archive page, it is actually using this template file. So let's do that. Let's go into admin. For example, if you had to go onto the categories, and there are 4 posts which are under the movies category, and if I click on view, this is going to take me to all the posts that are under the movies category. Now since we have created an archive page, it is showing archive page. However, if I go ahead and delete that, so let's say I go ahead and delete this file. So it's going to use index.php. So I'm just going to write down over here index. Okay. And now if I refresh, you can see that it's using index.php to list all the posts that are under the category of movies. Okay. Right. But if you have the archive page, if you have the archive.php, then it's going to use the archive.php to display that. Similarly for the tags, if I click on, let's say there are 7 posts under the tags of action, tag name action. You can see that it's using the archive page. Okay, so let's go ahead and put certain codes inside of it. Okay. All right, so let me explain to you what's going on over here. So as we all know, this template is for displaying archive pages. First thing is we getting the header file using get header, and then footer file using get footer. Cornova get sidebar is our custom function we already discussed, going to display the sidebar. Okay, and then this function is going to return the primary classes. This is our custom function for the post. Okay, and then we are running a loop. We are checking have post. If there are posts available, then we are using the archive title, archive description. Okay, so this is going to return the title of the archive, which archive we're talking about, and this function is going to return the description of the archive. So for example, we go back, categories, let's say for movies. Okay, so if I click on movies, at the moment I don't have a description, but let's write the post related to movies. Let's update it. Okay, back to categories. Now if I go ahead and click on movies, you can see that okay, you can see that over here we have the function called the archive title, and it's going to display the title of the archive. So the title of the archive is category movies. If we do an inspect element, okay, let's do this. Okay, so let's have a look. So you can see this is the page title, h1 tag, and that's what we have over here. And inside of it, we are having the archive title being displayed over here. So we have categories movies. That's the title of the archive, so it's a category archive, and then category description. Archive description is the post related to movies, and that's what we wrote in that category. Okay, and then we are running a loop checking that if have post the post, and we're going to use the get template part function like we have done before. It's going to use the content.php from our template parts folder. It's going to include that file. In case if the post has the post format, then it's going to use that slug. So I've explained that to you in previous videos that if the user has selected the post format, for example gallery, then this function is going to return the slug of that post. Okay, slug of that post, and this will be equal to content dash gallery.php, for example, and it's going to look for that file. If it doesn't find the file, then it's just going to include the content.php file. So in content.php file, we've already discussed that we are displaying the title of the post, we are displaying what time the post was posted on, we are displaying the content of the post, we are displaying the pagination of that particular post, and we are displaying the footer items, which means including the admin name, the author name, the date when it was posted and last modified, and the edit post link, etc. Okay, so that's what is going on over here. It's going to include that. If the post is not available, if there are no post under that category, then it's going to include the content-none.php, in which we have discussed already that it's going to go ahead and say an error that ready to publish your first post, or sorry but nothing matched your search items, and it's going to display a search form so that the user can search for a particular post that he or she is looking for. Okay. And the next thing is Cornova pagination. So basically, it's gonna display the pagination of the post, and then WP get archive is basically this function goes ahead and returns the link of the archives. In this case, since we have passed the argument as type daily, so the daily post, date-wise archive will be displayed. So if you notice, this is our title. This is the thumbnail, this is the date when it was posted, and then content, and then so on and so forth. And then we have the author information, leave a comment, edit, things like that. And here we have the archive that is being displayed over here, which is date-wise. Okay, all right. So we can look at the codex that this wp get archive function displays the database archive list, and we can pass a parameter, different parameters into it, and depending on that, we're going to go ahead and get the result. Okay, so for example, in the type, if we passed monthly, then it's going to return us the monthly archive. If we pass the yearly, it's going to return the yearly archive, daily, weekly, post by post, and so on. So over here, what we've done is in WP get archives, we have passed type is equal to daily, hence we are getting the archive listing date wise. If you click on one of these, it's going to list all the posts that were, um, all the posts that were written on this particular date. And as you can see, that this is the archive title, which is day December 6, 2017, and this is the archive description. Sorry, yeah, it doesn't have a description. And then this is the date, this is content, and so on. And then you have the author information. Okay, so all of this data is basically coming from the archive.php. Okay, so even if I had to write archive over here, page, you can see that that's what is being used. And even if you click on one of these archive links, it is still using the archive page to display them. That's why you have the archive title and using this particular function. And since it doesn't have any description, so description is not being used, and then it's using the content.php to display the content of that post. And then you have the pagination, and then you have the archive that's being displayed daily. Okay, cool. All right, so that's that. Now in the next video, we're going to talk about another page, which is content search.php. Okay.